Knicks family, what's poppin'? It's your boy. Trade deadline is over, and we're now into the buyout market, the buyout season. And the biggest name on the market, ladies and gentlemen, is Andre Drummond. And yes, the New York Knicks will meet with Andre Drummond. We don't know when, but they will meet with Andre Drummond. According to Shams, Andre Drummond has agreed to a contract buyout with the Cleveland Cavaliers, and he will become a free agent. So it's already happened. It's already starting, ladies and gentlemen. And according to Chris Haynes, Yahoo sources say that Andre Drummond will listen to pitches from the New York Knicks, the Los Angeles Lakers, the Los Angeles Clippers, the Boston Celtics, and the Charlotte Hornets. The Knicks are right there in the mix, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to talk about it, break it down a little bit. Talk about ways that Andre Drummond might fit with the New York Knicks, what it means to the salary cap, what it means to players like Mitchell Robinson and Nerlens Noel. So let's go ahead and let's get into this thing and break it down. Again, Andre Drummond has agreed to a contract buyout with the Cleveland Cavaliers, and the New York Knicks are amongst the group of teams that he will meet with. Andy, what's poppin' with you, my man? How you feeling?
What up, Sim? What up to the panel? What up to the chat? Well, like you said, Andrew, Andy, it's close enough for me. If it's for the rumored money you said, I'm in for it.
Yeah. There's already a rumor out there that the Knicks are going to offer Andre Drummond about 4 years, $64 million. Now, if you break that down over 4 years, that turns out to be $16 million per year. But because Andre Drummond has already been being paid this season, the Knicks probably won't give him $16 million this season. Of course, that goes over what they have available. So you think they would give him between $8 to $10 million and then break up the rest over the next 3 years. So maybe he makes $18 million a year, and we'll see how that's even broken up. And then they have a little bit of change left over if they wanted to, waive somebody else and pick up another player that fills a need. But the Knicks are the only team that know that they have cap space available for next season and beyond that can offer Andre Drummond a multi-year deal right now. Because on the books for next season, the Knicks only have $48 million on the books for next season. $48 million on the books for next season, right? And that includes Randall, R.J. Barrett, Emmanuel Quickly, Mitchell Robinson, Kevin Knox, Obi Toppin, right? Those are the only guys who are really on the books for next year. Everybody else, the Knicks is either a 1-year deal, right? So it expires at the end of this season, or they've got to give a qualifying offer to Frank, or there's a team option, right? But you don't calculate that money yet. Right now, that they have a guaranteed $48 million that they have to pay out for next season. The other money depends on if they decide to pick up the options or extend the qualifying offer or whatever it is. Okay? So that's how it's laid out for the New York Knicks right now, salary cap wise. So they can afford to give this man a multi-year deal. And this is what gives the Knicks an upper hand over everybody else. Is the fact that they have salary cap space this season. No other team comes close. Right? The Knicks have $13.5 million available. The Charlotte Hornets are the next closest team with like $1.5 million available. Right? So the Knicks can blow any offer out the water. So it really depends on Andre Drummond and what he wants. Does he want to get a little bit more money? Get a multi-year deal on the books, if that's what the Knicks are truly going to offer? and of course have a chance to play major minutes with the New York Knicks and be part of a team that's the way it looks right now heading to the playoffs? Or does he want to compete for a championship and sign with the Los Angeles Lakers for a minimum amount of money? Those are the questions faced with Andre Drummond right now. I don't know when he's going to begin to start hearing pitches, but he may hear some pitches, start hearing pitches tonight, tomorrow. Who knows? Steph, what would you do if you were Andre Drummond? Because I think the question is not just do you want to compete for a championship with the Lakers or, get more money with the Knicks, but he's got to look at his contract situation coming forward as well. If he goes and plays for the Lakers, his numbers aren't going to be the same. He might win a chip, might not. His numbers aren't going to be the same. That's going to impact what he makes in free agency.
Right.
You play for the Knicks. If they decide to give you a multi-year deal, you're secure in that manner. If not, and you say, well, I just want to sign for this year and take my chances in free agency, you can still come in and put up your 17 and 15 with the New York Knicks and still look like a viable center in free agency. That people say, hey, we want this guy on our team. Well, how would you go, or what do you think? What do you think, Steph?
Well, I'm hoping that he's, like you're saying, taking all of this into consideration, right? Like you said, if it's a championship, you back at ground one. You do have the opportunity to win, then you're a free agent this summer. But I'm also hoping that he's thinking about, where does he want to live? Where does he want his family to live? What part am I going to play on the team in terms of their offense and defense? So I'm hoping when he's meeting with these teams that he's asking these questions already and getting a sense of who may even re-sign him. Maybe they'll let him know right away he's just a rental. I think for the Knicks, I don't know how important this is for him, though. That opportunity to play closer to home, that opportunity to be a part of an up-and-coming team and to really be a part of winning the championship in terms of you put your years in terms of us getting there. The money is a factor as well. Do you think they're going to sign him now or they're going to sign him in the offseason?
It's hard to say.
Like when they meet with him, if he says he wants to come, because if he gets a contract now, like if they say, listen, we'll give you $8-9 million for this year, but over the next 3 years, as you were saying, 16, 17, 18 million, he has to weigh that against what the other teams are saying, which is probably, we're going to sign you now. We're going to see what we can do in the off season, but how much cap space are they going to have? Right. So if he has that opportunity to, if he likes what the Knicks are saying, to sign that contract right now, be set up, free agency is not even an issue for him. That's what I would do.
Right. And it's hard to say. It's hard to say what he's thinking, right? A report came out today, that earlier in the season, he told his teammates that he thinks he's going to get a max deal this offseason. I don't think he's going to get a max deal from anybody, right? But he's coming off making $28.7 million a season. He's made, he may be looking to say, I want more than $18 million a year. I don't know. It's hard to say. Andy?
The league has changed a lot, though, Sam.
Yeah, right. The league has definitely changed a lot. Go ahead, Andy.
Yeah, Sam, I just wanted to lay out some numbers in case by any chance Andre Drummond or his agent find this video. So I'm going to make this easy for them. Like you said, he was earning $28.7 million this season. If he would be looking to get paid at least around that same salary for the next year, the only teams that are going to have salary cap space as this day, right? Because, of course, they can trade guys, right? But I don't think if he goes into a meeting today, tomorrow, or whatever, any of these teams are going to promise him, listen, we're going to trade this and this guy so we have salary cap space for you. So let me put out the names. Of course, the New York Knicks, we're going to have cap space. The Oklahoma City Thunder, I don't think that's a team. A guy that's going to be 29 years old next season wants to play around with the 34 picks in the next couple of years, right? The San Antonio Spurs, I don't think he fits Popovich even 1 minute on the court. The Miami Heat, at this point, they have barely $78 million in salary cap space. Salary cap for next season. But if they are willing to resign Oladipo or a free agent, probably they're gonna go over the cap, and they won't be able to give Drummond at least that $30 million, right? The Charlotte Hornets, they at $83 million. The Dallas Mavericks are at 85 almost. And the Memphis Grizzlies are at 87 and Toronto Raptors at 88. None of those teams guarantee him winning a championship next season, as far as you ask me. Maybe Miami. I don't think he puts Dallas over the top in the West. And I don't think Miami is even going to consider him.
Right.
So looking at those names, I think you go for the longer contract, even for an uprising team like the Knicks. And if the money is really, reported, the 60, couple million, you're going to get less money, right, per year. But like Steph said, you're going to be playing closer to home. You're going to be playing for an uprising team. You're going to be one of the pillars of the team. So your stats are not going to drop off like going to the Lakers or the Bucks or whatever, that you're going to be the fifth, fourth option, whatever. And the only stats you're going to get is rebounds and putbacks, because nobody's going to run or play for you. Meanwhile, on the Knicks, you might be the third option. So that's way better than being the fourth, fifth option and playing leftovers. So, no, as far as you ask me, I think it would be a smart business and career decision for Drummond to join a team like the New York Knicks, even for a little bit less money. Not even to mention the side effect, if he would impact this current Knicks roster so much that he would be viewed as a top 3 player on this squad. The advertisement deals, like everybody says, there's nothing like winning in New York. I think you can make up the money off the court playing in New York. In just comparing to Oklahoma, Memphis, and the rest of the teams that were mentioned there, right? So I think if I was him and I was his agent, I would be trying to push him here. It's basically nothing else, and that's not even mentioning that he would fit or not fit Thibs's basketball philosophy and style of play.
Yeah,
just the business decisions, right? So, yeah. And numbers wise,
yeah. And look, we know Andre Drummond, whatever team he goes to, I mean, it's going to make a big impact, whichever team he goes to. Right, and you look at some of the teams that Chris Haynes has said is in the running: the Knicks, the Lakers, the Clippers. But then, of course, Boston and Charlotte are right there with the New York Knicks, fighting for a playoff spot. You know what I'm saying? And if the Knicks, if one of those teams pick them up, that's just more competition that the Knicks have fighting for that playoff spot. And for the Knicks, this takes the Knicks to a new level if they are able to bring in Andre Drummond. Takes them to a new level. And one of the biggest supporters has been Evergreen. So Evergreen, go ahead, man. Go ahead and let it out. I know you want to.
You know what I'm here, Sim? Huh? Everybody knows why I'm here. Listen, I was on my way home. Right before I got in the car, I looked at the streaming something. What's going on? And I looked and I see Andre Drummond to meet with the Knicks. And boy, did I grab my chin and I said, you know what? It feels so damn good to be right. It feels so good. What I'm trying to tell you guys right now, let's look at it like this. Given the current way the Eastern Conference is shaped up, I want everybody to ask themselves this question. If we do get Andre Drummond, are we better than Charlotte? Yes. Are we better than Atlanta? Yes. Are we better than Milwaukee? That's the big question. Because we've already beat them and they've already beat us. So are we better than Milwaukee? What I'm trying to tell you guys is that if we get Andre Drummond, there is no excuse as to why we should not be 3, 4, 5 seed. There's no excuse for it. We just battled it out. We just battled it out with Philadelphia in 2 referee calling games that we could have easily won. Joel Embiid, we're not sure when that guy's coming back. The only outlier that we have is Miami and Brooklyn if we get Andre Drummond. And let's be real. Miami, yes, they put a hurting on us. But would we be better than Miami with Andre Drummond on this team? What I'm trying to explain to you guys, Knicks fans, is that the acquisition of Andre Drummond changes this franchise. It wouldn't have changed it last season when everybody was capping about trying to get him because the contracts didn't make any sense. We didn't have the $28 million to pay that man. But right now,
I guess he froze up. I don't know. I didn't know if he froze up or if he was pausing for,
for effect, right?
Yeah, for effect. You know what I mean? I wasn't sure which one it was.
For once.
I was waiting for the ending.
Right.
I was waiting for them to bring us home. I was waiting for us to bring us home.
I mean, but hey, the way he looks on the screen right now,
yeah, man.
It perfectly. You couldn't ask for a much better effect than that.
That is a happy Knicks fan right there of what could possibly be.
He'll be happy if we actually signed him.
So here's my next question, though. How does it work fit-wise with Andre Drummond? How does that work? Because we know that Andre Drummond is not a stretch 5. Okay, he's not going to stretch the floor by shooting threes. But he does do a lot of other things. Okay, obviously we know he rebounds the ball. He can score in the post, right? One of the things that he does that I think some people underestimate is he can go out on the perimeter and penetrate from the three-point line, right? He can catch the ball in the mid-post and penetrate, right? He can catch the ball from the top of the key and penetrate to the basket. Okay, so there are things that he can do that while he doesn't spread the floor by knocking down the 3, he can still spread the floor. He can still bring somebody out on the perimeter because he can make moves from the perimeter. He can also pass, right? If you watch some games in Cleveland, even against us, there were times when, a guy, Larry Nance Jr. posted up in the center of the lane, and Andre Drummond was able to deliver a pass from the high post or from the top of the key to the center of the lane. So there are things that he could do, that he can do, that helps to spread the floor. I want to talk about fit. Let me get to a phone call, and then we'll talk about fit. And then after we talk about fit, we'll talk about the impact on Mitchell Robinson and Nerlens Noel. Caller, you're live. What's popping?
Peace, Sam. Peace, Knicks family. I'm a big proponent for Drummond coming to the Knicks. I like what Tibbs said when he mentioned he's all for high talent guys, and if we look at a template like the Spurs and how they've been good for so long, is you have starter caliber players that can come off the bench and do their thing. You could spend a lot of time talking about Ginobili and all these, Patty Mills when he's doing his thing. But, ideally for me, I would have Mitch starting, Drummond coming off the bench, and Noel, third string, Taj playing that Udonis Haslem type role. Similarly, as we see with our guard play, how it's elevated, having the luxury of having Derrick Rose coming off the bench, that's what we need. And, I think a lot of chemistry could develop between the likes of a Quickly and a Drummond.
Yeah, I could see that too. Yeah, I could definitely see that. A lot of some chemistry development, especially because Drummond would be getting some play in the second unit as a guy that can help to give Julius Randle some rest, so that Julius Randle doesn't have to carry that scoring load so much. You know what I'm saying? So I do think that could be a real positive for the Knicks in that regard. But hey, anything else you wanted to add in that front?
No, I appreciate y'all taking the call. Just looking forward to seeing the Knicks just keep developing. My dream scenario is kind of a low bar, but obviously if we could pick up Drummond for that $15 million a year in the off season, acquire the likes of a DeRozan and Alonzo, and I think that's the start of the next level for us.
Okay, man. We'll see what happens. Appreciate the call, my man.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Have a good one. All right. Let me ask you guys. Let's talk about fit. Andy, we'll start with you. All right. We were just talking about. We were just talking.
Start with him. Why not me?
I was going to get with you. Okay, I was going to get with you. Okay, go ahead, Kev. Let's talk about fit. Go ahead, Kev. Let's talk about fit.
That's my brother, man. Start with Andy, man. Go ahead. I love Andy.
I don't know. Go ahead, Andy. Let's talk about fit. Then I'm going to get the cornerstone. All right? Talk to me about fit and how he fits with Julius Randle at that center spot.
Well, Sam, there's always going to be pros and cons of a new guy coming in, and with Drummond, it's going to be the same thing. For me, Drummond is one of those players that needs a really good point guard to create more game for him, because you don't want him to be creating for himself unless it's an offensive rebound and a putback. He can do it. He can score in the post. He can pass up, but you don't want. He's not the sharpest tool in the shed. To be creating plays for New York Knicks. So let's get that out of the way. Even I think even I'm not talking about superstar point guard players, but guys that can pass up the ball. Pass first point guards, which we have basically in Alfred and the rest of the crew. Derrick Rose would fit him perfectly. So the only thing is I'm not sure he's a fast-paced guy, so he fits in that mold with the Knicks. Some fans probably are going to be thinking that he might clog the lane for RJ and for Julius, but he can also play a little bit further away from the basket on the weak side and then collapse when he sees that the shot is made, right? And then run for the offensive rebound. And as you also mentioned, he is developing his game further from the basket and starting to take 3-point shots. They're gonna one game they're gonna fall, one they're not gonna fall, right? So that's still a developmental phase for him, but he still takes more shots than Mitch, right?
Right.
So if you ask me, and we got him on our roster, I think Thibs would slide him in the starting lineup, and Mitch would have to be coming off the bench. I'm guessing we're going to talk about, the Drummond Mitch, collab after we do the pros and cons, right? So,
right,
because that's going to be like more off-court issues probably than on-court, basically. But, I think he sets great screens. He's not like Mitch, because Mitch, he barely can still set a screen. And this is really a big issue for me as far as Mitch goes. He has the body, he has the size even, but he still didn't learn how to set solid screens. So, he can probably learn a thing or two, not to mention that he will develop, playing with and versus Drummond in the practices. So that will be, you know, a great thing for him as far as even his development goes. So as far as I would see it, it's a win-win situation if we get him for that contract. And I'm going to mention this in every segment because for that kind of money, you got to get him. It's like, you know, I don't know if you would play Julius Randle like the 15 million or the 18 million he gets, right? These guys could if every salary cap in the league would reset, he would get at least 25 million from a bad team, but he would get that money.
Yeah.
I'm sure about it. So, you know, getting him for like that 18, 17, you know, 16 million, that's a steal. So you got to do it.
Yeah. Okay, Kev. Now I'm coming to you. Let's talk about fit. Let's talk about how he fits, and then I'm gonna come to Steph. So, you know, how do you see it?
I'm a kid in the candy store. I'm a kid.
Can he play? Let me ask you this: Can he play some power forward? I seem to think that he can play some power forward. I know people, you know, on our team. Even though we have Nerlens Noel and Mitch, who don't really shoot the ball. I don't want to say don't really. They don't shoot the ball from the outside. Nerlens Noel can knock down a little mid-range every now and again. We've seen it before. But they're not spreading it out to the three-point line. But I tend to think because Andre Drummond can go out handle the ball a little bit on the perimeter, that you can use him in ways that still allows Mitchell Robinson and Nerlens Noel to do the exact same thing that they do now, right? So let's just say, for example, you know, he's the starting center, Andre Drummond. If you know, the Knicks sign him, he's the starting center, and then you come off the bench with Mitchell Robinson, and you decide, I still want to have Andre Drummond out there, so you know, so we can continue to score inside. I'm going to put Andre Drummond with Mitchell Robinson for about 3-4 minutes. Right?
Oh.
I mean, I think it can work because of some of the things that Andre Drummond can do. What do you think?
Here's my thing. Mitch better just suck it up and deal with it. He's going to come off the bench. All right? That's number one. You put Andre in that starting lineup, you literally have whoever the point guard is between Derrick Rose. I would prefer Derrick Rose, but between him and Elfrid Payton, now you literally have 4 people that can literally score the ball and create their own shot. Okay, that's what happens when you bring Andre Drummond. Not to mention that he can get the rebounds and he can space the floor and everything. I see that working out greatly, and I also can see on some occasions with you know, off the bench with Mitch and New Orleans playing at the same time as well, because I think New Orleans can play that power forward position. So right off the bat, that starting 5 is going to be it's going to be lit. It's literally going to be lit because now Randall doesn't have to carry that whole load of, you know, getting rebounds and, you know, scoring, you know, all the time, because now you legit have a person at the 5 position that can score the ball. You don't have to worry about trying to get an alley-oop to him or anything like that. He can legit score the ball. And people was talking I know some people were talking about his defensive liability. He is not a defensive liability. He can D. He can play D. All right. So if this happens, we're going to go far in these playoffs. I'm sorry. We're not going to get a play in. We are going to legitimately have a playoff spot and go far in these playoffs with him in there. And our bench is going to be, you know, totally crazy when you have Mitch and New Orleans in there at the 4 and the 5 spot. I'm legitimately happy.
So you think off the bench? So you think off the bench, Mitch and Nerlens Noel can be, you know, with Mitch at the 4. I mean at the 5, and Nerlens Noel can play the 4.
Yes,
okay.
I do.
All right.
Yes, I'm saying that.
Steph, what do you think about that?
I don't. Well, let me just preface this by saying I think Drummond is his game has developed a little bit more. He's not that plodding center he used to be. He's much more flexible. He runs much more fluidly. Now he can also pass the ball out of the post, so he's not a black hole when the ball goes there. He can, as you said, Sim. I've seen him shoot a few threes. I don't know if he hit them though, but I saw him at least take a few threes, and he definitely shoots. He can definitely shoot the mid range. Let's not also understand the Tibbs effect on Drummond or any free agent that comes here. They're going to play defense. They're going to play hard. But things is going to have to change. So I was thinking about this also when it came to Drummond. Right now, we're top 5 defense, right? But we're a 500 team. Okay, so we may infuse a little more offense, and maybe we're not a top 5 defense. Maybe we're a top 10 defense, but we're also a top 5 offense. Just say, not just him, we make some other changes. That's good. That's going to improve us overall. So our defense may take a little hit, but if our offense makes up for it, overall, we're a better team. And that's what we need. The other question I have, and Sam, maybe you can answer this. I think we're thinking about, this is how our team plays now, and this is how we're always going to play, and how does Drummond disrupt that? But we could just be playing this way because these are the players we have, and this is the best way to play, right? Then once we bring in Drummond, maybe Tibbs will be like, whoa, we got other options. We got other ways we can play, and maybe our offense changes up a little bit, and maybe our defense also changes up a little bit to hide him or take advantage of his strengths and hide his weaknesses. So yeah, I think if you're thinking this is who we are forever, you could question whether he fits. But I think Tibbs is smart enough basketball-wise, offensively and defensively, to devise something that will be better for the team as a whole. I think I don't think he's going to clog up the middle for Randall. Randall can play outside. There'll be times when they're not playing together. You can have, as Andy was saying, you can have Drummond on the weak side to open up space for Drummond. I just think I think when he does come, he's going to be a better player than we remember him being up until this point. And that's the Tibbs effect that's coming into with the developmental coaches we have as well. Right. So I think I have to say I wasn't always high on the move, but, and thinking it over, I think it definitely will help us. And I think we'll be a better team, but we may have to do some things differently.
Right. And I think you answered the question from Matt Shaw. Thank you for the super chat. When he asked, will Drummond clog the lane for RJ and Randall? And I think he answered that. I don't think he will. He's Mitch and Noel, they don't seem to clog the lane for Julius Randle or RJ Barrett, and neither one of those guys shoot the ball.
Yeah, they don't step out of the key even.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They don't handle the ball on the perimeter, do anything like that. Andre Drummond gives you some more flexibility on that offensive side because of some of the things that he can do. Dominic, how you doing this afternoon, man? How you feeling?
Feeling great, man. I'm feeling great.
I'm glad you could make it, man. How are you feeling about the possibilities of Andre Drummond coming to the Knicks?
Oh, man, this is really interesting to give my thoughts about this. Honestly, I kind of feel good about the possibility of Andre Drummond coming to the Knicks. I mean, we really need him. So if the Knicks get him, then I will be happy about that happening. If that's the possibility of that happening, then I feel like the Knicks can make the playoffs if they get Andre Drummond.
Okay.
That's what I think.
All right. And I think a lot of teams feel like if they get Andre Drummond, they're either definitely going to be in the playoffs or it's going to move them, higher in that playoff ranking. Go ahead,
exactly.
Kev.
Yeah, and Dominic, let me ask you and the rest of the panel a question. What I just said earlier about with Noel playing the 4 and Mitch playing the 5. Can y'all see a scenario like that happening, or is that just thinking, that that Noel can't play the 4? I'm just saying on like spurts and things like that. What do you guys think?
See,
well, I'm glad. Can I No,
Yeah,
you
go ahead, Dominic.
Okay, so Kev, that's a really good question you asked there, my good old buddy. I would have to say the second answer on that one. I mean, Noel did pretty good in that Wizards game, so we'll see how he does in the next one.
Okay.
Yeah, my only concern, the reason why I say that Andre Drummond can play some four, and you can move around the lineups that way, is because he's shown the ability to be able to pass to the post.
Okay.
Right, and do some things on the perimeter. I mean, he can even penetrate from the perimeter. If you go back and watch when he played us, and he had 33 points and 23 rebounds. He was taking Mitch out on the perimeter and penetrating to the basket. Plenty of times.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So with Nerlens Noel, I'm not exactly sure he can do that. So I don't know. know.
The reason why, so then if that would happen, all right, for argument's sake, let's say both Mitch and Drummond do start. Would Randall can Randall play the three?
Yes,
he could probably play the three. But I don't think they're taking Reggie Bullock out the starting lineup.
Exactly. That's what I'm getting. That's what I'm getting at. That's why I was saying. I mean, because Mitch has got to get his time, and Nolan's got to get his time as well. So that's why I said, using those two, as your 4 and your 5 coming off the bench. Because
why do you say they have to get their time? I think the Knicks just have to win.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody is guaranteed any time. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I don't think they have to get time.
I'm just saying. I could see it. I'm just saying I could see it working. Okay. I could see it working.
Okay.
Kev's list at cornerstones is getting tight, bro. That's why not every cornerstone can get minutes.
I'm just saying. Both Mitch and Noel have for the to this point have shown that, especially Nolan's have shown that that they've been doing great, with each other, whether one was, starting and then one was coming off the bench or vice versa. You bring Andre Drummond in there. I just don't want to lose that edgeness between the both of them, between Mitch and between Noel, because they are doing the job. They are doing the job. So
exactly,
that's what
Kev.
I'm getting at.
That's a good point there, Kev.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
That's all.
I mean, we will. My next question is this. Because obviously, this is what everyone is worried about. What happens to Mitch? What happens to Nerlens Noel going on in the future? Which one of those guys stays with the team and which one moves on? Because you're not going to have all three of them, right? You're going to continue to have a center like a Taj that's not going to play at all unless somebody is hurt or someone's just not playing well at all. Then you bring them in. You seen last night, Mitch took a seat, and Taj Gibson, he took over down the stretch as our center down the stretch. Andy, I'll start with you, then I'm going to come to Evergreen. What happens with Mitch? What happens with Nerlens Noel going into next season?
You mean me?
Yeah, Andy.
Andy.
Oh, yeah, I didn't hear that. Wilson, for me, the biggest factor is Mitch's ego. If he is willing to do it for the team and play, let's call it this way, the minutes that Tibbs is willing to give him, I believe this team is going to go far with all three of these guys because, like I mentioned, even offline yesterday, I think Taj is basically on last legs in this league, right? So he would be happy if, for example, like Kenny Payne left for the job at DePaul, and I think he could basically get that, assistant coaching job and still be around, Tibbs and the squad. So that would be a perfect situation for him. He would be close to New York, to his family and stuff. So I really believe that is really, capable of working out. But the biggest factor here is going to be Mitch's ego. If he is willing, if he is going to be willing to give up a little bit money at this point of his career to be playing for the Knicks, and no, developing under and behind a guy like Drummond, Randall, he's probably going to get way more minutes than Noel's in the future, and even the next year and above, right? But you got to have that third string player in case an injury happens and stuff. And we saw Nerlens Noel can fill in that gap for at least a couple of games easily. He knows the system. He's playing basically the same basketball. And, just to add something else before we even go like to the off-court stuff, right, Sim? I think we would be maybe even the best rebounding team in the league if we would be playing Drummond, Mitch. I'm not talking in one lineup, right? Drummond, Mitch, and Randall most of the minutes at the front court. That's a beast team defending and also rebounding. And I just came up with this. If the tactics were that they're gonna leave out Drummond to get that defensive rebound, and Randall and wings are gonna know that, and that's gonna be planned and mapped out, they might be, going faster to the offensive court, right? So we might get a couple of those fast break points more as an average for this team. Because at this point, I don't think Thibs is, counting on Mitch doing that outlet pass or that every rebound. But Drummond is a way bigger upgrade, and you can trust him getting that defensive rebound.
Yeah.
Just to let that, first pass, if it's going to be an outlet or just, fast pass, up court, in the front court. So
yeah,
that's a way big thing.
Drummond can throw that baseball pass too. Caller, you're live. What's popping?
What's popping, Sim? This is Israel. What's going on?
What's going on with you, man? How you feeling?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm hearing about this Andre Drummond stuff right now, getting me a little excited,
I feel you, man. I feel you. And the thing is that the Knicks have the money where they can outbid people. And listen, Andre Drummond, here's one thing that I'm going to hate. If the Knicks don't get him, people, you're going to have some people that say, see, nobody wants to come to the Knicks. They're going to say that, right? But look, Andre Drummond, if you look up and down his Twitter, he's still a New York dude, right? He still posts stuff about New York. Not about the Knicks, but just about the city, things that's going on in the city, stuff like that. There might be a good chance. I think the Knicks have a good chance and will be serious contenders for Andre Drummond.
For sure, I could definitely think we can make some noise if we pick him up. We can make a little deep playoff push. But the only thing is, it's gonna be a big clog in that center position. I feel like, I don't think that Nerlens Noel could really play that floor. He's not really a guy that could spread the floor like that, even though he showed some sign of shooting that jumper. At the end of the day, I feel like he's not the guy that's going to spread the floor the way we're going to want to, especially in Tom Thibodeau's system. At the end of the day, I think it's going to be like this. If you get Andre Drummond, Tibbs is going to play them in spurts to see which matchup is better for which game, There might be games where Mitchell Robinson's going to play. There might be games that Mitchell Robinson's not going to play, or Nerlens Noel, and vice versa. So, listen, I'm hoping for the best. I think we can make some noise if we get him. Salute to you, Sim. Salute to the chat. I just wanted to, call in, say what's up to everybody, and hope everybody has a great weekend.
Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. Hey, Evergreen, my question to you, Nerlens Noel, Mitchell Robinson, what happens? And to get rid of that glut that is at the center, which one of those guys sees their minutes go down to being situational? Is it Nerlens Noel? Is it Mitch?
I think that the fact that we're even talking about this issue is preposterous.
Okay.
So what? We have a glut. So what? We have a glut at the 5. Last season we had this season we had a glut at the 2. Last season we had a glut at the 4. The 17 players we can put on the team. We just freed up a slot. Who cares? Get the guys here and let the coaching staff do what they will. That's it.
Right? No, definitely. I mean, that's without a doubt. But somebody is going to end up, missing some minutes, and it would probably, there would probably be a little, I don't know if you want to say tryout period, but as Tom Thibodeau is seeing what happens with the team, how they play well together, then he'd figure out which one is the odd man out. There is a report from Mark Stein that says the Lakers have made signing Drummond their priority at their fruitless trade deadline, but the competition is fierce, and Boston can also offer the sort of role that Drummond seeks. Then it goes back to saying Chris Baines reported that Drummond will also field pitches from the Knicks, the Clippers, and the Hornets. I mean, they say that the Celtics can offer a role, but so can the Knicks. The Knicks can offer a role as well. Although with Mitchell Robinson and Nerlens Noel being there, he could look and say there's a lot of competition there. Or maybe he doesn't see them as competition, and maybe they're not competition. And he looks and says, I'm clearly better than those guys. One of those guys is just going to be on the bench. Who knows? We'll see what he's thinking. Caller, you live. What's popping?
What's going on, Simmons AK? How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
I'm all right. I hear you're talking about Drummond.
Yeah. So what do you think is going to happen, man? Do you think that Andre Drummond is do you think the Knicks really have a chance at him?
You know what? Yesterday I said we don't need Drummond, but I'm going to take that back. I've been doing my homework on Drummond.
Okay.
Was he 26, 27?
He's 27 years old.
We don't see him getting injured like that either, right, in the season?
Nah, he's not He's not really injury prone.
All right. Yo, we need to get Drummond. You know what I see? I see the Detroit effect. You know when Detroit won that championship over Rasheed Wallace and Ben Wallace?
Uh-huh.
I'm seeing that type of effect. If the Knicks could get Drummond, Randall, that team will be crazy, I think. I'm not saying because I'm a Knicks fan, but I'm just looking at the lineup.
Yeah. I mean, that lineup, listen, they'll be big and strong down low. Teams will be afraid of that.
Yeah.
Teams will definitely be afraid of that. We'll see what's going to happen. It's going to be a fierce competition. It's like a little mini free agency for him.
Yeah, it is.
You know what I mean? And after all the years of being in Detroit and then being in Cleveland and he might juice this time a little bit to say, let me go ahead and talk to some teams and feel what it's like. I don't know if he's ever been in free agency. Feel what it's like to be in free agency just a little bit, and then and then make my decision. That's another thing I think factors in to whether or not he does decide whether he wants to sign long-term with the Knicks. He's never been a part of free agency.
Nope. You're right.
Right? So he may want to experience that free agency this summer. I don't know.
That's true, too.
I don't know. Yeah. So we'll see.
I hope we throw the money. We got the money.
We got the money. So we'll see what the Knicks decide. Hey, I appreciate the call, man.
No problem, man. One.
Peace. And, another thing, you're probably sure, I'm sure that before the Knicks even made this decision that they're going to at least make a pitch to Andre Drummond, they sat down with Tom Thibodeau and said, how would you feel about Andre Drummond and how would you use him? Not that Leon Rose doesn't trust Tom Thibodeau, but, just as a group say, how would we use him and do we think it can work? Right. And so I'm sure they had that discussion before they made that decision to say, all right, let's make this pitch because we know how we can use them. And boom. And guess what? Here's one of the positive things. And of course, the Lakers have an agent as their, president, general manager, whatever, too. It's one of the positive things about having a guy like Leon Rose, because when it comes to making a pitch to the players, he knows what the players want to hear. he knows what teams need to bring in to, what they need to bring to the table. You look in the past and the Knicks were doing crazy stuff like having videos of actors come in and all this kind of stuff. Leon Rose has been an agent. He knows what impresses the players. And that is one thing that I think is beneficial, when it comes to this type of a situation. Andre Drummond, looking at some stats from these are this year's stats. This season, he's averaging 17.5 points per game, 13.5 rebounds per game. He averages 1.2 blocks per game. He's 27 years old, 6'10", 279 pounds. He also averages 1.6 steals per game. He averages 2.6 assists per game. This is this season, right? He was drafted 9th in 2012. He's a two-time NBA All-Star. Last season, he was voted. He received one first-place vote for Defensive Player of the Year. Right? He's got 2 playoff appearances. I don't know. Hey, maybe that was his, one of his best friends as a reporter or something in Cleveland. But, they said, hey, we think this guy deserves a first place vote for Defensive Player of the Year. And he was in consideration for Defensive Player of the Year. Obviously, he didn't win it. Giannis Antetokounmpo, he won Defensive Player of the Year last year. But Andre Drummond got some votes for Defensive Player of the Year. But those are his stats right there. Bring that to the New York Knicks. That's a big boost. That's a big boost.
Knicks fans have got to realize that this is monster to us, man. This is really, really monster to us because he can help out our starting 5 in so many ways. And I just think I think Knicks fans are just kind of used to what we have right now and just don't realize, what this guy will bring to the table. I mean, they might not believe it now, but you sign him, and once that ball goes up, you're going to see. You're literally going to see.
Yeah. I mean, listen, there's a lot of people like. Oh, go ahead, Steph.
No, I was just going to say, don't underestimate Tibbs and the coaching staff changing things up so that, like I said before, so that we can get the best out of a team with Drummond on it, both offensively and defensively. And again, if we drop defensively a little bit, but we gain offense, it's a net positive. It's a net positive for us. And just to piggyback on the last question you asked him, if we sign Drummond, I think we have to trade Mitch for an asset. I know Mitch doesn't really have a choice next year because he's under contract. He might pout a little bit, but he doesn't have much of a choice. But the year after that, he's a free agent, and I think he's gone. So I think if the Knicks do sign, and I think these are the conversations they're having already. Mm-hmm. If they do sign him, I think you have to trade him. I would trade him even before the season started for an asset, just so you don't have to deal with that. But for the rest of the season, it could be a little rocky. I do see Mitch pouting a little bit, or maybe the coaching staff will get to him ahead of time, and he'll be more professional about it.
Well, the thing about that
is,
the thing about that is, if we make a deep playoff run, I mean, get to the Eastern Conference Finals, if that happens, they're really going to have to think about if you want to trade him, at the beginning of the season or whenever. But Steph, I do agree with you. That's going to be. It can go 2 ways. It can go, Mitch just sucks it up and just does what he does, and keeps playing, hard, or the other way, to the sulking and acting immature and doing whatever. I don't think that's going to. I'm going to think, option A, because of the coaching staff that we have. But then again, with a lot of our coaching staff might be on, different teams. You're looking at Brian and Payne and I don't want to think about it, but it's out there. So we might, lose them and everything. But
that would be next year that we lose them. I tend to agree with Steph that if we bring in Andre Drummond, Mitchell Robinson is probably going to be moved next season. I know he's a young guy that you can, yeah. I know, and I know that's a cornerstone. I know it's a young guy that can still develop.
But it is what it is.
But I tend to think that they might move him and keep Nerlens Noel around. All of that is going to come into play.
Right.
All of that's going to come into play because Mitch didn't have a problem coming off the bench behind Nerlens Noel earlier in the season when when everyone thought that Nerlens Noel could be the starter. He might be. Mitch. It could work out that Nerlens Noel is the one who loses the minutes, and Mitch is still playing. And the next season come, Nerlens Noel is gone, and Mitch is like, hey, I can come off the bench behind him. I'm cool with it. He's a 10-year vet. Who's been on the All-Star team a couple times. So you never know how it works out. Let me get to Andy, then I'm going to get to the phone call. Andy, you're live. Andy, what's popping? I know you're live. Not even what's popping. Go ahead.
Kevin, I just want to tell you that some stones you got to throw as far as possible away from you. So might be Mitch this time. But, to be true, I think even if it's not Mitch's ego, I think, like we discussed this a couple of times on this show already, I think he has that, that uncle, that Kawhi uncle, that, I don't know, maybe his mom, maybe his crew, his clique, whatever you want to call it. I think that they're kind of, screwing things up with him and the agency of his. He had like 6 agents in 2-3 years.
Yes, he did.
So I think that's going to be a problem. And that's why, if you would ask me today, if we would have to trade him, or is he going to be willing to, get that ego under control and just play for us, for the team? I think you would have to trade him. I'm not saying like right after you sign Drummond, right? But you got to work out a compromise, see when's going to be the best time to trade him, and then make the deal.
Then make the deal. Yeah.
Yeah. And I want to give a big shout out to Danny Thomas. Thank you for the super chat. He says, no need for Andre Drummond. We need a wing or a point guard. Here's my thing about that. We can say we need a wing and we need a point guard. But look, when you look at the buyout market right now, what point guard is going to be better than the point guards that we have that's on the buyout market?
There's nobody. Right? At all.
Which wings are going to be better than Reggie Bullock and Alec Burks right now that's on the buyout market?
If Terrence Ross is on there, nobody.
And so I don't know. I mean, right now, you look at Alec Burks, his last 10 games, he's averaging 16.4 points per game. He's shooting over 40% from the field in those games. His last 5 games, he's been averaging over 20 points per game. He's giving us really good minutes right now. And if that continues, like Tony Crow's been saying, that alleviates the need, at least for this season, for that wing player because he's giving us that. And Reggie Bullock plays rugged defense. He's knocking down the 3 at 39% so far this season. The past few games, both guys have been hitting timely shots, right? Knocking down threes that we really need. I don't know if we're going to get another wing in this buyout market that's better than the wings that we already have, to be honest with you. Otto Porter? Is that you talk about? Otto Porter? Jabari Parker?
Not Otto Porter.
No, come on. No. Those guys are not going to be, what are those guys going to do?
But only reasonable and knowledgeable, one second, Evergreen, only reasonable and knowledgeable Knicks fans understand what you're saying, Sam. Literally.
Everyone has their opinions, but Kodak Blog says Jamal Crawford. Really? Jamal Crawford hasn't been playing all season long because I love Jamal Crawford, but
Kodak was responding to someone else.
Okay. Responding to someone else. Okay, my bad, Kodak. My bad.
I got you, bro.
He was repping at me, so don't even worry about it. It's all right.
And this is for everybody. This is everybody watching. Listen, even a championship team needs something, right? Even a champion. What did the Lakers team need last year up until they made the acquisitions? They needed a point guard. They needed Rondo. right? And they made an acquisition at the end, right? Or just before the end of the trade deadline. Like, every single team needs something, right, in order to get them to make them better. Any acquisition you make can make you better. So obviously we need a wing. And obviously we got 4 point guards. And what do they say in football? If you got 3 quarterbacks, that means you don't have any. You got 4 point guards, you don't have any, right? That's my philosophy when it comes to that. If you got 4 point guards, you got any. So there's a glut somewhere, and it just so happens that we have a few of those guys that set up as point guards that can play multiple different positions. The bottom line is, of course, we need a wing. We know that, but there's nothing out there. There's nothing out there for us to get. If Otto Porter is the guy, Otto Porter signed a bogus contract with Washington, and then the following year, Washington said, "Oh crap, what the hell did we just do? We got to move this guy." And all of a sudden, where is he at? In Chicago, right? I'm pretty sure he was in Chicago, right? The very next season. So there's nobody that's there unless we're making a trade, which we can't because the deadline's already done, right? There's nobody that's better that we can acquire right now, and we got to wait at least until free agency. We're talking about what could we do right now in the buyout market. Right now, the best player available in the buyout market is the guy that said, "Yo, I'm willing to give the Knicks a listen." He just so happens to be from New York, and he just so happened to be one of the top 5 centers in the league, if you ask me.
Come on.
You can't pass on that.
Come on.
It is so illogical for anybody to pass on that and to only focus on the fact that we need a point guard and we need to win. Guess what? We ain't got him. We ain't got him. He ain't no point guard is coming here. I would have made the argument if this was yesterday. I would have made the argument, bring Schroeder over here, bring Dennis Schroeder over here. But guess what? He didn't come. He's gone. He's not available. Who is the best player available on the buyout market right now? It's Andre Drummond. The guy I've been cheerleading for, pom-pomming for, capping for all season long. You bring that man here. You bring Andre Drummond here. You sign him to a contract, and then you figure it out later on.
Yeah. Case closed.
Some people don't like the idea.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Let me get to this phone call. Yeah, let me get to this phone call here. And as far as that thing on Dennis Schroeder, I'm telling you right now, the Knicks were really trying to work with Toronto to try to help facilitate Kyle Lowry going to LA. And I think that Dennis Schroeder, if that would have happened, would have been coming to the New York Knicks. Either Dennis Schroeder or KCP. I think one of those two guys might have been coming to the Knicks if they were able to help facilitate a move, sending Dennis Schroeder, sending Kyle Lowry to LA. But obviously that didn't happen. And this is another one of the Knicks' plans. You heard Tom Thibodeau. The Knicks got plans. They got it mapped out, and they follow their plans. Caller, you live. What's poppin'?
Yo, Black is time. Shout out to the chat. What's good, Sam?
What's good with you, brother? How you feeling?
Hey, Evergreen, you messed up my perfect segue, man. I could have slid right in with what I was gonna say, but shout out to you guys, man. Peace to the Queen. I just wanted to say, it's nice to hear a lot of people coming around to, the idea of Drummond. Just like Evergreen, I was one of the few that was calling for this all season long. I think he puts us in top 4 in the East. One thing I wanted to mention about the Mitch thing, I don't think it makes us have to trade Mitch, but it does make Mitch more expendable. For me personally, I would try to keep Mitch. We've seen him play the backup role to DeAndre Jordan. We've seen him willing to take the bench role if it needed to be with Noel. We've also seen Drummond dominate against Mitch. So I don't think Mitch is going to be in there saying, I could beat this guy out.
Right.
He's going to have to work to do it. He's going to have to get stronger to do it. But another thing, maybe this opens up Mitch to start letting it fly, which he's been begging for. Because I think at this point, kids don't want him shooting because we need him doing what he does. Rebounding the ball, defending, under the basket. I think if we got a guy like Drummond who's going to grab everything, that could open the floor for Mitch. Now he gets a little bit more opportunities to expand his game. I also think coming off the bench, he'll have more opportunities to expand his game. Because it'll be less of a liability. He'll have more freedom. But, yeah, I really just wanted to call to say I like to hear all you guys coming along with the idea of Drummond. There's only a few guys in the chat that say no.
Yeah.
But salute to you. Let me get back to work.
Appreciate it, man. Go make that money, bro.
Keep doing your thing.
Yeah, go make that money, man. Appreciate it, Tony Crow. Let me get to another call here. Then I'm going to get to Josh. See what Josh is thinking. Calling you live. What's popping?
Yo, Tim, what's popping, man? It's Drake Carter from the other night. I just super chat about Drummond. My fault. My son is over there making noise. Hopefully I can hear him in the background.
So what's going on, man?
Not much, man. I just want to call the Drummond conversation. Well, let me turn the TV down. I'm having a lot of arguments on Twitter about people not wanting to, send some money to him. But it's like, if you can get a Drummond with 10 mil or 13 mil, I mean, why not? I mean, we're talking about the Knicks going into offseason with 50, 55, 60 mil to sign who? You know what I'm saying? So I just feel like you just need to, take a chance. I mean, Drummond, people tell me that he has low efficiency and never play defense. But for one, we never seen Drummond motivated on a good team. He's always been on bad teams really his whole career. And I feel like with this coaching style, I feel like they could turn him around. Two, I feel like with Drummond in the starting lineup with a slower pace and Mitch being the quick, fast, twitchy center that he is with the second unit, I think that might be a cool little fit for everybody. So I feel like the Knicks, they definitely have to take a chance at Drummond. There's like no reason why. Kind of like a no-brainer to me. Yeah,
I mean, I think that they are making. I think that they are going to make a pitch. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens, man. Hey, I appreciate your call.
Appreciate you, son.
Appreciate it, man. Josh,
going on, everybody? How y'all doing?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good.
So I mean, we're talking about Drummond right now. I just want to say that, what's there to lose? I don't understand what's there to lose by picking up Drummond. He's on the buyout market. You go out and you go pick him up and you add him to a roster that's already playing pretty well, and you bring him into the mix. Hey, that's 18 points out of production that we definitely could use, particularly from the 5 position. I didn't get a chance to come on yesterday, but I do want to say that I am a little bit disappointed with what took place yesterday. I'm not saying that I'm blaming it on the front office. I believe the front office, did everything they can to try to go out and get players. But when you look at, and just like I've been saying for the past few weeks, when you look at the Eastern Conference, these teams weren't going to sit still, particularly Boston, Chicago, Miami. They were not going to sit still. They were going to try to go out and make their rosters better. And I believe they did. And I believe that the Knicks are not guaranteed to get in that top 6 anymore. I believe we're going to be in that playing game. And, I think, that's pretty good for me. But I just would like to see them add someone at the trade deadline. And what Miami gave up for Victor Oladipo was a steal. I felt like if we could have got that deal, we would have been a much better team. And as well as, getting someone in the buyout market like a Drummond. And I think that would have set us in a great position to be top 6 in the Eastern Conference. But now you look at Miami, you look at Boston, you look at Atlanta. I feel like those teams got way better. And Chicago, they got way better. And we're still, playing well. I'm not saying we're not playing well, but
yeah, I think that Miami. I mean, these other teams got better. I think that Miami got better, definitely. I think, and they're probably going to get LaMarcus Aldridge, so I think they get better. Chicago, I think, got a lot better. I'm not sure about Boston, to be honest with you. I'm not sure about Boston, and
all they got was Evan Fournier.
What
about
I'm not sure.
What about who?
Atlanta? I mean, they got Lou Williams?
No. You said Boston got better. You said Boston got better.
I mentioned Atlanta as well.
Boston needed a big. Yeah, Atlanta got better by adding Lou Williams. Lou Williams hasn't played all season.
Bro,
Lou Williams? I don't know if Lou Williams is... I don't know
Lou
if he
Williams
makes them that
wanted
much
to
better.
retire yesterday.
No, he doesn't. That's why I made the statement that I made earlier. Are we better than Atlanta? Yes. Are we better than Chicago? Maybe.
No, we're not.
Maybe. Right? Hold on. I said maybe.
Let's see how it works.
This is predicated on whether we get Andre Drummond. We get Andre Drummond. Are we better than Chicago? Yes. We get Andre Drummond. Are we better than Atlanta? Yes. Are we better than Boston? Definitely, because the void that they got, they didn't fill. They got Evan Fournier. They needed a big. If anything, the player that fits best right now with Boston is Andre Drummond, and we have a better package to offer him. So, again, the only teams that we have to worry about is Miami, Brooklyn, Philadelphia, and
that's it.
Milwaukee. And we beat Milwaukee already.
That's it.
That's it. So getting Andre Drummond puts us, arguably three, in my opinion, arguably 3 to 6. Easy.
So here's why I disagree. First of all, listen, I love the way the Knicks are playing. I definitely love this team. I'm not saying it's the end of the world. I'm not blaming it on the front office because we don't know whether they actually, I believe they actually did, put their best foot forward and try to go out there and sign someone. So I'm not blaming the front office. This is not end of the world. I believe the Knicks will be a top 10 team in the Eastern Conference. There's no doubt in my mind. I just feel like when I look at the moves that took place yesterday, particularly with Miami and with Chicago, there's no doubt about that. They improved their team. And I think when it comes to the Knicks, I've always wanted the Knicks to be top 6 in the Eastern Conference so we can avoid that playing game. I want to see these guys, particularly this young core of players, play in a playoff series. A playing game, that'll be nice, but we have to win the playing game. And I think the way the Eastern Conference is set up, I think a playing game, that can go any type of way. And I'd rather see the Knicks be guaranteed to play in a playoff series to see how Thibodeau, makes his calls and his adjustments in the playoff series, and also for these young players to get them experience in a playoff series. And I feel like the moves that were made yesterday, I feel like the Knicks did not get themselves better.
Sometimes the best moves are the moves you don't make at all.
Hold on, time out, Kev. What I'm saying is, yes, I get that, you don't have to make every single move. I'm not saying the Knicks need to go out there and put all their chips on the table. That's not what I'm saying. But when you combine the fact that what happened yesterday with the Eastern Conference and the fact that Miami gave up so little, they got a steal for Victor Oladipo, I felt like that was a missed opportunity for us because Miami not only set themselves up to get better with the trade of Victor Oladipo, they're still involved in the buyout market, and they're still involved in the offseason as well. And I feel like that could have been us in that situation. That's a missed opportunity.
Hold on. One at a time, Kev. The only thing about Victor Oladipo is I think the reason why there was not much of a market for Victor Oladipo is because everybody knew that he was going to either be traded to Miami and re-sign with Miami, or he was going to go to another team and be a rental and then go sign with Miami. And so teams were like, he wants to be with Miami. I'm not going to give up assets, lose my assets for a guy for less than half a season when I know he's going to Miami. That plays a big part.
Sim, what assets did Miami give up? They gave up Kelly Olynyk and Avery Bradley. What assets did they give up?
They still gave up players. But still, if we give up 2 players, right? Even if they're not players, they were both players. Kelly Olynyk was playing for them. So we would have given up a rotation player. And then he goes and signs with Miami. That's a player that either we don't have on our team or we can't use in another trade someplace else at another time, depending on the contract of that player. So I think teams were like, I'm not going to give up assets that I can use to trade down the line for a player that I know wants to go to Miami and Miami wants him.
Sim, the Knicks have $50 million in available cap space this offseason because they have players that are coming off the books. It's not like these guys are sticking around.
That's not the point. But what if it was Mitchell Robinson, let's say, that went in the trade and somebody else, right? That went in the trade, and you got Victor Oladipo back, and then he decides, I'm not going to stay here, I'm going to Miami. Now you can't trade Mitchell Robinson because you still had Mitchell Robinson for 2 seasons under contract. Now you can't trade him, and you lost Victor Oladipo.
Sam, we don't know whether it's Mitchell Robinson or not. I'm not saying Mitchell Robinson in particular.
I understand that. What I'm just saying is you give up assets for a player that has his eyes set on going to a specific team. He's going to go to the free agent market and go to that team, which is the reason why Miami could get him for so cheap, because they knew where he was. The marriage was already made. So
unless you want to take the risk of trading for one guy for a half a season, then you do that. But that's bad business. That's bad
It depends on what they was asking for.
But that's what I'm saying. We don't know what they were asking for.
You already know he's gone. It don't matter what they was asking for. If you know he's going to be gone, you could have traded. I mean, the best move we did was freeing up that extra roster spot when we got rid of Iggy, because that gives us the ability to make this sign. But the bottom line is, if we don't free up a spot, it makes no sense for us to sign a guy at least to bring him over here for a half a season like that. That's illogical, bro. You know it.
And who's also injury prone.
It makes no sense. Oh, and that's another thing. A guy that's already had a nearly career-ending injury. You bring him in. Yes, he rehabbed very well. You bring him in for half a season, knowing for a fact that he's going to go. That's nothing to
So what's the point of bringing Andre Drummond in? We don't know where Andre Drummond's going to go at the end of the season. What's the point of bringing him in?
The Knicks, well, if the rumor is correct, the Knicks are planning to offer him a multi-year deal. And you're not giving up assets. And he's not injury prone.
He's not injury prone.
Regardless, I don't even. Hold up.
We swapped a $900,000 contract. We swapped a $900,000 contract and let Iggy Brazdeikis go to Philly. And that's an extra roster spot with an extra $15 million or $14 million that we got to spend on a player in the buyout market.
I'm not upset at that.
The money is going to go away. Like, it's not like we keep that extra $15 million next season and we add it to the salary cap. No, if we don't use the money, it gets dispersed to the rest of the players by the end of the season. So you use the money. You use the money is the bottom line. So you're not wasting anything. We didn't waste anything. We got rid of Iggy Brazdeikis, who wasn't doing anything. He logged probably 10 minutes this whole entire season.
Evergreen,
right?
you're missing my point.
We have the space to pull somebody in.
I'm not upset at what the Knicks did do. I'm not saying what they did was bad. I'm not saying it's the end of the world. I'm just saying it's a missed opportunity, particularly for the two reasons that I mentioned, because other teams in the Eastern Conference got better this season, and for the simple fact that it was a steal what Miami got. And I'm not saying the Knicks didn't put their best foot forward and make it.
It wasn't a steal. The market.
Kelly Olynyk and Avery Bradley.
Listen, the market it's not about Oladipo's skill set. It's about the market. The market was low from the jump for Oladipo because of what his camp put out. The market's automatically low. So it's not a steal. The market dictated what it was because we know what Oladipo wanted, and he wanted to go. It would be a steal if nobody knew where Oladipo wanted to go, and they only traded Kelly Olynyk and whoever else it was for it. That would be a steal. But the fact that the market was dictated by everybody knowing that he already wanted to go to Miami, what else are they going to give up? Houston was already willing to get rid of the contract. So what else are they going to give up? Houston shot themselves in the foot with saying that they wanted to trade him, and Miami was simply able to capitalize. It's not a steal. The market was there. That's what was there for it.
I would say this. If the Knicks got background information that he was not going to resign, then it was the right move not to offer any assets. If they didn't have that information, I would have tried. I don't know if I would have given up any rotation players, but I would have tried. And it's possible that they did. It's possible that they did.
I'm not saying that the front office was negligent in any type of way. That's not what I'm saying. That's not the way I'm trying to come across here. When I'm saying it was a missed opportunity, because if you look what Miami did,
I just don't understand. How is it a missed opportunity if it's possible that they tried and the asking price they felt was too much, right? Because they knew what he was going to do. How is it a missed opportunity if you?
Because someone else in the Eastern Conference got better, Sim. They did it. They went out and got him. That's what I'm saying. That's a missed opportunity. I'm not saying it's a negative thing. Hold on, Kev, real quick. I'm not saying it's a negative thing on the front office. What I'm saying is I look at what Miami did, right? They went out to go get him. So let's say whether he wanted to come there or not. Miami went out to go get him. Not only did they set themselves up to still be active in the buyout market, but they still set themselves up to be active in the offseason as well, which the Knicks are in a great position to do as well. So whether it went through or not, I'm not saying it's like the end of the world. Hold on. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying it's a missed opportunity. I wish the Knicks were able to pick him up and get him on the cheap because Miami got him on the cheap. And the Knicks should have still been active in the buyout market and get Drummond. Now you're talking about a team with Oladipo, with Drummond, with what we already have for this particular season. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not saying
I get it. Let me get to a phone call. But what I'm saying is a missed opportunity. You can't miss an opportunity if you take an opportunity.
And it
just because it's not
out.
successful doesn't mean you didn't take the opportunity.
I understand that. I totally understand that.
Caller, you're live. What's popping? Caller, you there?
Yes, sir.
What's going on with you, man? How you feeling?
I'm feeling a lot better than I was yesterday when I called in.
Okay.
I didn't say AD.
You know.
Okay.
So today I totally want this smoke today. Yeah, and you're first in line, Sim.
Oh boy, here we go. First in line. First in line. Okay.
Yeah, you're first in line, and I'm glad Dominique left because I didn't want to splatter him. He's too young for this. Okay.
All right.
Let's look at what Uncle Fulio is saying. But before I go there, peace to the chat. Steph, Andy, Cornerstone, Josh, you already know what it is. Evergreen. 2 months ago, Evergreen, maybe since the beginning of the season, was the only gentleman, the only fan that I heard pounding the Drummond trade. I came on there right after him one night. I was rudely ushered away because it was said that Drummond was going to be bought out and going to Brooklyn. Okay? You said earlier, Sim, that the Knicks, you felt they was going to possibly get the point guard from the Lakers because they were helping the Lakers or Toronto with Lowry. That alone drives me crazy because why would you help the Lakers get Lowry when we need Lowry?
Because you're not going to give up $30 million to go get. I mean, you'd have to give up a lot to go get Kyle Lowry without knowing whether or not he's going to sign with you. When you can take a chance and try to get him in the offseason because the Lakers may not sign him in the offseason, right? But with facilitating a trade with Kyle Lowry going to the Lakers, you bring back a Dennis Schroeder, you help fill a need, his contract is done at the end of this season, and you get a first or second round draft pick back. And you still have the chance to sign Kyle Lowry in the summer. And also, I do got to correct you. I do got to correct you because we've said a long time ago, no, we would not trade for Andre Drummond, but if he hit the buyout market, we would try to go get him in the buyout market. I know I said that a long time ago. I was not trying to trade because he made $28.7 million, so I wasn't giving up that much to go get Andre Drummond because, we got centers there, but if we could get him in the buyout market, then you get him in the buyout market for cheap.
Okay, Sim, here's the problem. Why I call this wet cement a month ago. We as Knicks fans, for the most part, are far too happy to go bargain basement shopping. We don't want to be preemptive. We don't want to be out there to set the standard. We want to listen to, this person wasn't gonna do this for Oladipo, and that person wasn't gonna do this for Oladipo. You know what the talk was coming into the season? That Oladipo was telling Knicks players last year to trade for him because he wanted to
that
be
wasn't
a
the
Knick.
talk. That wasn't the
Now
talk.
the talk-
No, the talk was he was going to other teams when he was playing against those teams and saying, do you guys want a player on your team? And he did that with the New York Knicks, but he was doing that with teams around the league, not just the New York Knicks.
But we're not talking about other teams. We're talking about us.
No, what I'm talking about is he was doing that it was out there that he was doing that to everybody that he was playing against. So he didn't just do that to the Knicks. He did that to everybody that he was playing against. Victor Oladipo wanted to be in Miami.
Fam, my overall point is, fam, we can't not listen to the scuttlebutt or follow the trend. If we see, and to Uncle Fulio's point and to Evergreen's point, there is a way here where we could have really improved this team and be right there with everybody else.
But
Bro,
my point is this: you don't know if the Knicks made calls about this man or not,
and you don't know if they did.
But how can you get mad? How can you get mad if you don't know if they made calls about him or not? Clearly, there was already rumors about them having the discussions about Victor Oladipo. They could have made calls and said, that's not what we want to do. We're not going to give up this player and that player because they're assets, and we know he really is thinking about going here or there. We don't know if they did that or not.
And we don't know if
this is what I know.
We don't know.
This is what I know.
How can you say it's a missed
back fella down in Miami?
No, how can it be a missed opportunity, bro? How can it be a missed opportunity if you don't know if they talk to him or not? You can't say it's a missed opportunity. They might have taken the opportunity. They might have taken the opportunity, bro.
You're right.
Just because they didn't get
it's the framing, Josh. It's the framing.
Just because they did not get the trade done doesn't mean that they didn't try to.
I know,
but they had a line in the sand.
Okay, let me ask you this, all right? Let's say now, in a day or two, the Knicks have to make a early Christmas gift and pay out all that money, all that $15 million or whatever it is, to the rest of the team. How are you gonna feel that another player pass through that we could get, and this is as you said, this is Drummond's free agency, that we could get that we don't get him? How are you going to feel about this management staff here telling us wait until summer?
I mean, if they don't get him, they don't get him. That's his decision. That doesn't mean that they didn't put the foot forward and try. Listen, the Knicks could have went and said, this is what we're going to do for Oladipo. This is what we're going to do for Vucevic. This is what we're going to try to do for this player. And those teams could have said, I don't like it. It doesn't mean that the Knicks had not been aggressive in trying to get players. Just because those opportunities.
As I said to you that same night, when Evergreen was banging the drum on Drummond, this is why Dolan gets to firing people, because you say you can do something. You made us bring in Worldwide West for his contact.
You're wrong.
You're an agent, a super agent, and you're not getting it done. You're going bargain basement.
I tell you what, right? Nobody expected the Knicks to be above 500 at this point in the season. If James Dolan is pissed off about that, let him be pissed off. Because no one expected them to be where they are right now. So obviously, this management team did something right. They did something right because they're above 500 right now.
Julius Randle.
Julius Randle is doing a great job this season, but you got Alec Burks. He's been averaging 20 points a game for the last 5 games, right? He's obviously doing something right. Reggie Bullock is playing well for us. He's shooting 40% from the 3-point line.
I think we still have number 1 deep.
All I'm saying, Tim, I feel like this the spades game, and we going Boston every time down. Fam, you know what it is. Knicks family for life. Love y'all.
Appreciate you. Listen, I don't agree. I would have liked the Knicks to do something yesterday. Right? I would have liked the Knicks to have gotten better. I am on record saying that I wanted the Knicks to get better, but I'm not going to say that they passed up on opportunities to do so. We don't know what they did back in the, with the management team. What kind of discussions they had? You heard what Tom Thibodeau said. They had a plan in place. They had scenarios on the board. And they went out and they negotiated and they talked and they made phone calls and they did all of those things. To me, that's not a missed opportunity. That's taking your opportunity. You don't always get whatever the opportunity is. It doesn't always work out for you. Missing the opportunity is saying Andre Drummond is a free agent, but we're not going to talk to him. That's a missed opportunity in my opinion.
Nate hasn't talked yet.
Yeah, let me get the name.
Yeah. But let's give them the summer. Let's give them the summer before we say that they're not doing what they're supposed to do.
Nate, all right. Go ahead, Nate.
So the reality is what's done is done. Oladipo's in the Heat. We're crying over spilled milk. I mean, it's asinizing to say that the Knicks didn't call about Oladipo. They did. They probably called about every opportunity player that was on the market, especially if Worldwide West works those back channels. I guarantee you he knew some information that probably other teams didn't know. So they left no stone unturned. The truth is they knew he was going to the Heat. They weren't going to give away assets for a guy who's going to leave in the summer. So that's that on that end. What the reality is that we have a chance of signing Andre Drummond. I mean, this guy on a given night can be a 2020 dude. I mean, that is huge. And you pair him along with Julius Randle. I mean, your front court is pretty damn lethal. My question now is, if the Knicks are serious about signing Drummond, and it is true that they're looking to give him a multi-year deal, what do you do with Mitch?
Well, I mean,
we already discussed.
Yeah, you kind of late to the party, Nate. You kind of late to the party.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah. but here's my thing. If I'm the front office and I'm going to give Drummond a multi-year deal, I am already shopping Mitch, and I am looking for a veteran who can come in and can play, like a scorer. I don't know who's out there. I mean, obviously there's players out there that we didn't even know was available. So pretty much anybody's available. So whoever covets Mitch, we got to get a player back, a vet, not a rookie or not a 2-year, 3-year guy. We got to get a vet that can come in and score. Wing defender would be amazing to service, to play for us if we give up Mitch, and then the Knicks are really talking then, because then you've got RJ, you've got Drummond, you've got Randall, you've got whatever player you bring in from Mitch, and then God, if we can get a point guard. I mean, if not, we'll run quickly or Rose or whoever else, Peyton. But I mean, then you got a formidable team, and now you start talking about the Knicks being a top 4 team in the East.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all right. Go ahead, Josh.
Hey, just real quick, Josh. I just got to mention something real quick. Sources tell Trevor Sports, Johnny Bryant is no longer a candidate for the coach of the for Utah. The program's focus is shifted on the current Utah coach Craig Smith. That's all.
Okay. All right. Go ahead, Josh.
Real quick. So the point of me making my statement was, I was in no way, shape, or form trying to criticize the front office. I did not want to do that. I think if the Knicks stay put right now and they don't get Drummond, we're still a top 10 team in the Eastern Conference. Even if we stay put right now, I'm comfortable with this roster as far as making the playoffs right now. Okay. I just was trying to say, I think it was a missed opportunity for us. Not saying that hold on, Kev. I'm not saying the organization didn't put their best foot forward. I'm not saying that Leon Rose wasn't on the phone and saying, oh, we don't want him. I'm just saying, when I look at what happened in the Eastern Conference and what transpired yesterday, I just think that if the Knicks were able to put out, that's something the Knicks could have pulled off. A lot of people were saying that they didn't want Oladipo because it can mess up team chemistry, or we can give up too much for him, both of which are not true, because Miami didn't give up a lot for him. And I think adding a player like that, we're talking about adding Drummond, that's not going to mess up team chemistry. So all I'm saying is it was just a missed opportunity. A lot of teams in the Eastern Conference got better, and we stayed the same. But even if the Knicks don't do anything right now, I still think we're a playoff team. So it's not the end of the world. I'm not criticizing Leon Rose. I think they've done a phenomenal job here. But that was just my view about what happened yesterday. That's all I'm saying, Kev. It's not the end of the world. I like Leon Rose. That's all I'm saying.
All right.
All right. Go ahead, Andy.
Josh, I'm going to tell you this, that people are going to be disappointed in Oladipo. I'm telling you guys this. He's going to be a liability on the Heat.
He doesn't look the same since that injury.
I'm telling you that
I would take
he
that
doesn't
bet,
look
Andy.
like old Oladipo, and not to even mention he's not gonna be playing the kind of defense that the Heat want to be playing. They're also a great defensive team, and I don't think he can keep up with those.
I don't think they would need him to, Andy. I don't think they would need him to. Just like I don't think we would need him to be this all-around great player. I don't think that Oladipo is that, especially for a rental. I don't think Oladipo's role would need to be that on this current team because I think we're good as it is. He's just an addition. For a rental, we got the money. That's all I was talking about. I don't need him to be like all-star Oladipo.
I know, but bro, I don't think Spoelstra is gonna give any guys a easy pass because they're after an injury, whatever. I'm telling you guys that I don't think they're gonna be happy with him. But they're gonna probably
take that bet, Andy.
But yeah, no problem, Steph.
I will take that bet.
Loaded,
I think they got him on the cheap.
Yeah,
Miami's loaded, and
he's ascending back. It may take him a year or so to get back to where he was, and he may not even get there. But I think he'll get close.
I'm gonna tell you guys this: if they have a power forward like Aldridge, already a deal set before they made the move, that's a good move. But if they lost Avery Bradley and Kelly Olynyk just to get Oladipo, and they have and they just reset it, now, and they're just gonna look for a player now, I don't think that's a good move. That's a really risky move.
Bradley wasn't playing though. Bradley wasn't playing.
He wasn't even playing.
He would be playing in the
Precious
playoffs.
Achua? Don't they like him? Isn't he a 4?
Wait, y'all don't think Kelly Olynyk and Avery Bradley and a pick swap was a steal for Victor Oladipo?
Gosh, Kelly Olynyk won the Heat the game versus us. He single-handedly won the game versus the Knicks.
He's not playing well this year though. He's only 31% from
and we're higher than them.
Oh, that's just one game.
Not anymore.
Overall, he's not playing that well.
Bro, without Kenny Olynyk, they're loaded, man. They got Robinson, they've got Hero, they've got Nunn, they've got Butler.
They didn't give up any core pieces.
I mean, they've got Precious Achua, who's a good young player. They got Bam. I mean, that team's loaded, bro.
You telling me we could have
Oladipo?
But they did give up Olynyk, right?
Yeah. I'm just saying.
In all honesty, against us, other than Butler, Olynyk was the one that was giving Mitch and whoever problems shooting it from the 3. So
that's just against us, Kev. But listen,
look, the thing is, the thing is, first, you can say all they gave up was Kelly Olynyk, right? And for them, maybe that's all they gave up. We don't have as much talent as them. So we give up a player that's the same caliber, impacts our team a little bit differently than maybe it impacts the Miami Heat, right? They might have said they might have wanted a big man, right? They chose Kelly Olynyk. They might have wanted a big man. We had to give up one of our bigs. It could have been more what we had to give up could have been more detrimental to us than Kelly Olynyk is to the Knicks. So I don't think you can compare. You can say it's apples to apples on what they might have been asking from us.
Yeah,
right?
We don't
know. So you can't say, like people say about Evan Fournier, all the Celtics had to do was, 2 second-round picks, and it ended up somebody else went there too. With us, it could have been something a little bit different because our cap situation is different than theirs. So, it's hard to say because we don't know what type of stuff is tossed around in those negotiations. But given the fact that it was low, the one thing you do know is that for about a year, he's been wanting to be in Miami. You know what I mean? And that plays a big part. When a guy says, this is where I'm going to, and other teams talk to their agent and they say, look, he wants to be in Miami. He wants to be in Miami. Teams tend to step off.
He also did say he wanted to be in Indiana and he was going to stay there. So he's really flopped a lot, that would be another reason why
they traded him. They traded him.
Right. After he had that meeting or something where he made comments that he wanted out of Indiana or something like that. But then he came back and retracted and said he wanted to be in Indiana. So he's kind of been a little bit here and there. So
I don't know. Look, he didn't. They offered a contract extension. He didn't take it. Houston offered a contract extension. He didn't take it. Who knows what's happening in Indiana with some of the rumors that were going on there. Nothing happened there. So, clearly they stood pat.
I'm just saying this also on Oladipo because they have guards that can score. They lost a stretch 4 that they don't have a player like Kelly Olynyk on their squad currently that can replace his skill set.
But Andy, they find talent very well, man. Look at their draft.
That's what I'm saying. If they already got that guy,
Aldridge is signing there. That's what they're saying.
It looks like Aldridge is signing there. So
like I said, if they had that plan mapped out before the move, okay. But if they were like risking like most of the thing that the deal might not pan out or whatever, that was a risky move.
It's not the end of the world. I think the Knicks are fine. I think the Knicks are fine. It's not the end of the world if they didn't.
Yeah, if we get Drummond over Oladipo, I'm okay with that because we need a damn center. Let's be honest.
Let me get to this phone call. Caller, you live. What's popping?
Hey guys, this is Drayton Jordan from Harlem. I tried to call up yesterday. I just want to touch on a couple of topics from yesterday's game, and then I'm going to get into the Woodruff discussion.
You kind of break it up, man. It's hard to hear you. Guys, when people call in, man, call in, please. Call in. Have a wired connection because it's hard to do it over speakerphone. Caller, you live. What's popping?
Hey, listen, what we need to do, short and to the point, get Drummond signing to an extension, trade Mitchell Robinson for Buddy Hield, head up, get Lonzo Ball and another mid-level free agent this summer.
Okay, I mean, you can't make any trades right now. The trade season is over, so you can't make any trades until the draft. So the only thing they can do right now is try to sign Andre Drummond. If they don't get Andre Drummond, see what else is on the buyout market because they got a roster spot available. And if they do get Andre Drummond, they still might see what else is on the buyout market. But my man, I appreciate your time, bro.
Hey Sam, real quick. If no trade, well, I know trades will happen on draft day, but after draft day. Can people still trade during then, or is there a period where it can't?
After the draft, they're moving to free agency. So yeah, then you can make moves.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, so we are going to see what happens. Excuse me. We're going to see what happens, ladies and gentlemen. As you already know, Andre Drummond is bought out from the Cleveland Cavaliers. He's a free agent on the market. According to Chris Haynes, there are a couple of teams that's going to meet with and make some pitches to Andre Drummond that are the New York Knicks, Los Angeles Lakers, the Los Angeles Clippers, the Boston Celtics, and the Charlotte Hornets. The Knicks have the most money. Doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to choose the Knicks, but they do have the most money, which gives them a chance. Not only do they have the most money, but they're in the playoffs. All of these teams are in the playoffs. The Knicks are in the playoffs as well, and they can offer the most money. So we will see what happens. I'm going to start with Andy, and I'm going to come around. And I just want to know from you, what do you think happens? What do you think? Do you think the Knicks get him? I'll start with you, Andy.
I certainly hope so. And I think if you would ask me about the percentages, I think it's like 35-40% we get them.
Okay. All right. Steph, what do you think? You think we get Drummond?
Yeah, I think 40% we get him. I think if he's looking for a long-term contract, we get him. But if he's looking to win now, we may have to try in the offseason.
Okay. Josh?
I don't think we get him. I think he's going to try to chase that ring this season, and in the offseason probably go somewhere else. I don't think we get him this season.
Okay. Nate?
Yeah, I think a 20% chance we get him. If we're making a pitch to him, I just send Leon Rose and Tom Thibodeau and just talk straight with him and say, listen, this is what we're... Huh?
Thibodeau ain't going.
Okay, well then send Leon Rose. Don't send West or don't send Stout or anybody else. Just send West. I mean, just send Rose and just talk straight with them. Be like, hey, we're a playoff team. You could definitely increase our chances of even doing better in the playoffs. You know, is this something you want to do?
Okay. And Kev, what do you think, man? You think we end up with Andre Drummond?
Well, I'm on that. I'm going to dove into my divine intellect. I'm saying 70-30. I think we will sign him. I really believe in my heart that we will sign him, and that'll that's what I believe right now. That's what I believe, and I think if he does come here again, we will be very, very formidable. I mean, we're formidable right now, but we will be very formidable if he signs with us.
Okay, all right. We're gonna see what's gonna happen. It's gonna be interesting the next couple of days. I don't know when he's gonna start taking calls or doing interviews or whatever. But
is there a period? Is there a period where they you can't sign like on the very last day of the season, right? It's got to be No.
I mean, there's a time when playoff. There's a time when you have to be eligible for the playoffs. So I know right now, like players have to be bought out by April 9th in order to be eligible to play in the playoffs on another team. Obviously, he's already bought out. Now there's a time when you've got to sign in order to be ready for the playoffs. So listen, any team, he's gonna want to get it done. He hasn't played for weeks. He's gonna want to get it done sooner than later, so that he can get out there and start playing and all of that stuff, man. Great conversation today, ladies and gentlemen. We're out of here. I do want to remind you, please subscribe to the channel. Ring that notification bell so you'll be notified anytime I go live. Subscribe right now. As soon as we get 15,000 subscribers, we're giving away few Obi Toppin rookie cards. So please make sure you subscribe to the channel. Smash that like button on your way out. Drop in the comment sections what you think about the Knicks and Andre Drummond and anything else we spoke about here today. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm out of here. I appreciate you. Please spread love. Be peaceful. I'm out.